I'm Jeff Allen Wolf. Welcome to A World Gone Mad. It's WTF Wednesday, where I tell you everything that's going on and what it means, and I sure as hell don't care who gets upset. WTF Wednesday, I question what the fuck is Donald the Delusional One and his MAGA supporters doing now? And more importantly, how is any of this going to hurt us, the ones who actually care about our country and democracy? Okay, reluctantly, let's get into all of this madness. Here we go. For the first time in modern political history, Republicans and Democrats actually agree on something. The Senate voted unanimously. The House voted with only one no vote. Almost every elected official in Washington wants the Epstein files released to the public. Every page, every email, every flight log, every name, everything laid out where the country can see it. Supposedly. We'll get to that in a minute or two. These files went to Donald Trump's desk. He signed it finally tonight. One signature, that's all it takes for the country to finally see what has been whispered about for years. And now all eyes are on the Department of Justice and Pam Bondi. Will the Justice Department follow the overwhelming will of Congress and release these files? Or will Pam Bondi pull the oldest trick in government in their playbook and say the files cannot be released because this is an active investigation? Starting to look like that, Wolfpack listeners. That phrase is the escape hatch for everyone who wants the truth buried instead of exposed. Now, Pam Bondi treats the justice system like it's the customer service desk at a strip mall. If there's ever a moment where the country needs fairness or transparency, she shows up like, I could absolutely make this worse. Let me roll up my sleeves, dive face first into the conflict of interest. On the other side, you have Senator Richard Blumenthal saying the quiet part out loud. He says he has no trust, no confidence that this Justice Department will treat the Epstein files fairly. None. Zero. I agree with him after I heard what Pam Bondi said today. She said new evidence, more evidence, evidence, additional evidence. She said the word evidence so many times, and you could obviously see this is bullshit, people. They're going to cover this up. They're going to stonewall this. A sitting Senator, Richard Blumenthal, basically telling the American people, I know what corruption smells like, and this whole building smells like a gym bag left in a hot car. Then Senator Tom Tillis jumps in, like the one guy who finally has hit his limit. He says, release the damn files, no more excuses, no more political foreplay. He even says, I do not care how the sausage is made, which is hilarious because with Epstein, nobody wants to see the sausage, or where it was cooked, or who was standing in the kitchen. And every time these files get mentioned, another high-profile figure suddenly remembers they need to step away from public life. Larry Summers resigns from the OpenAI board, steps back from public commitments right after more of his emails with Epstein come out. The timing is always impressive. Epstein gets referenced, and people vanish like witnesses in a mob movie. Meanwhile, across the street, another circus act is unfolding. Former FBI Director James Comey is fighting an indictment that is collapsing because of something a prosecutor should never say in a courtroom. If you haven't heard this, pay attention. Interim United States Attorney Lindsay Halligan, the prosecuting attorney in the case, and she's the lawyer bringing the charges against Comey, took the stand and admitted under oath that only 2 grand jurors reviewed the final indictment against Comey. Listen up, 2, not 12, not a panel of jurors, not a group, 2, a pair, a duo. That is not a grand jury, everyone. That is 2 people killing time before a table opens up at Olive Garden. They did not come from James Comey's mouth. This did not come from Comey's lawyer. This came directly from the prosecution against Comey under oath in front of a federal judge. Comey's attorney then simply pointed out the obvious. If only 2 grand jurors reviewed the indictment, then legally this might not be an indictment at all. It might be a legal mirage, a ghost document, a piece of paper someone pushed out of a low ink printer and shoved into a file, hoping no one checked the math. Now, further on this, with what Halligan said to the judge, or what came out in evidence, she had 3 indictments or 3 charges against Comey. 2 of them were dropped, and the one that was left, she signed off on and gave it to the clerk to sign off to move the indictment forward. That's illegal. That's incompetence. And as always, Trump hires the best people, right? To drain the swamp. Let's bring in more corrupt, incompetent idiots to run things. My personal opinion is I expect this indictment against Comey, which is really not an indictment, to be tossed and the case dropped. So here's where things stand. On one side, you have a Justice Department that may very well end up sitting on the Epstein files instead of releasing them. No one knows what Pam Bondi will do now that Donald Trump signed the order telling her to release them. And on the other side, you have a prosecution admitting they may not even know how to run a real grand jury. These are the people we trust with the most powerful legal tools in the country. And while that chaos is unfolding inside the justice system, another example of this madness shows up overseas in the form of presidential moral bankruptcy. Because Donald Trump is asked about the murder of Jamal Khashoggi, that was the journalist who was kidnapped, murdered, and hacked to pieces inside a Saudi consulate. He was asked by the reporter, what about that? You're meeting with MBS from Saudi Arabia to sell them F-35 jets. What about that murder? And Trump's response is, and please, if you haven't heard this, you have to hear what comes out of Donald's mouth. Donald says to the reporter, you're mentioning somebody that was extremely controversial, referring to the journalist Khashoggi. A lot of people didn't like that gentleman that you're talking about, and whether you liked him or not, things happen. Trump says this in the Oval Office while hosting Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman during this pageant-filled visit. Things happen. A journalist is butchered inside an embassy, and Donald Trump's takeaway from this is things happen. It is the kind of cold shrug you expect from a mob boss, not the President of the United States. It is moral anesthesia. It is Trump telling the world he feels nothing. No surprise. And of course, Trump insists the Saudi Crown Prince had nothing to do with it, even though the CIA basically walked into the room holding a neon sign that said then, yes, he did. He ordered the hacking up of the journalist. It feels like watching someone deny they ate the last cookie while chewing the last bite. Now, while all this political insanity erupts, we get economic signals that feels like passive-aggressive warnings from the universe. Home Depot says its business is stuck. Home Depot. In plain language, that means homeowners are not fixing things, not remodeling, not spending on their houses. When people stop doing even basic home projects, it usually means they are worried about money. And when Home Depot, one of the biggest home improvement companies in the country, says things are slowing down, that is a sign that middle class is lightening up. Now Target, the retail store, looks like it might have hit rock bottom. That means shoppers are pulling back, people are buying essentials and skipping extras. Some of you are probably doing this. When a store built on everyday middle class spending suddenly struggles, it tells you consumers are stressed and budgets are squeezed. It is a simple warning flare about how people are feeling out there. And floating all of this, over all of this, is that mythical $2,000 check Donald keeps teasing like a washed up magician, promising one last big trick. Here's why you're probably not getting that $2,000 check. People in Washington don't want to pay for it. Congress would have to approve it. They won't. It's easier to talk about money than to actually give it. It's more of a campaign line than a real plan. And the one scary reason you might get this $2,000 check? Desperation. If things get bad enough, or if the pressure gets hot enough, they will throw money like confetti to distract from whatever disaster, in this case the Comey files, or rather, the Epstein files, is unfolding behind the curtain. Look over here at this check is the political version of teasing a puppy with a ball. So here we are. A Justice Department nobody trusts. A prosecution that admitted its own indictment might be legally imaginary. A president waving away a brutal state-ordered murder with "things happen." An economy sending out weird warning flares. And a fantasy check dangling like bait on a hook. With the Epstein files going to be released one way or the other, if Pam Bondi stalls, which is going to happen, people, watch the rest of this week. This is garbage. It'll come out, though. The Republicans have defied Donald Trump. Supposedly, that unanimous vote, I say, is garbage. I think they did that knowing that the files are going to be stalled. It's going to go to court. They have 30 days to release these files. They're going to fight it, and they're going to ignore the judge and the ruling of 30 days, and this is going to be a battle. Think about it. If Donald Trump was innocent, why wouldn't you release the files? Republicans unanimously said it. One holdout in the House unanimously said release the files. So if Trump's innocent, tomorrow they will release the files. They won't, is my prediction, which tells me there's a lot of crap in those files that Donald doesn't want you to see, and Pam Bondi's going to stall. The Democrats showed they have some clout over the Republican majority. Not really, because I think there's a game going on behind the scenes. I think there's going to be heavy redaction. I think this is a big cover-up. It's going to make the Richard Nixon Watergate cover-up look like a bunch of pussies doing it. Now, this quite possibly could be the end of Donald Trump's reign as we know it. If the files come out, he's done. But I don't think the files are going to come out the rest of this week. If it feels like the world has gone mad, it's because it has. You're not crazy. You're paying attention. None of this is normal. But here we are standing in it, living in it, watching it spill into our laps like boiling soup. Welcome to America. And welcome to another episode of WTF What the Fuck Wednesday. Crazy. And it's just going to get worse. I'm telling you, Thursday and Friday, watch what happens to the files. Focus on Pam Bondi. The cover-up, the lies, the whole game is starting the minute Donald Trump signed those orders and Pam Bondi says, well, there's an investigation. I want to remind everyone, in case some of you have not heard, I'm doing live stream shows on TikTok. A World Gone Mad is alive. This is the schedule. Tuesday nights, 9:15 p.m. for 40 minutes. Thursday nights, 9:15 p.m. for 40 minutes. And finally, Sunday mornings at 9:30 a.m., so the East Coast can hear, for 40 minutes. All of these are Arizona times, which we are now on Mountain Time. Now, I've had a few of the listeners show up there in the live streams listening. And I thank you, Terry, and I thank you, Bill. Thank you very much. If I missed anybody else and I didn't see you, my apologies. Would love to see some of you check out the live streams. Next one is Thursday night, 9:15 p.m. I hope you join, because that room would be full of trolls and Republicans who absolutely adore Donald, and I could use your support. This is The World Gone Mad. I'm Jeff Allen Wolf. I'll be back Friday. I say the shit that no one else will, because I don't care who I may piss off. The truth has to be told. Till then, Wolfpack listeners, remain skeptical, keep focused, but most of all, stay hopeful.